Hello. Pixelan SpiceMaster Pro is a video transitions plugin and effects animations plugin for creating custom soft and organic transitions between two video clips or animating other video effects. If you haven't looked at any of the SpiceMaster videos on the Pixelan site, you should do so before continuing. In this tutorial, we'll look at the basics of the Pro version, mainly the more than 1,000 animated masks or spices, where and what they are, and how to use them. Then we'll look at some of the controls that modify the transition effect. Most effects can be keyframed, and if you don't know what that means, take a look at my tutorial on keyframing in Pixelan Smart Blur Pro and read up on it in the Movie Edit Pro manual. A future tutorial will cover the included picture-in-picture tools and the application of spice effects to titles. Let's get started. SpiceMaster is located under the Transitions tab, Additional Fades. There are several ways to apply the effects, and the main one is as a transition of two overlapping video clips or images. Simply drag the SpiceMaster icon onto the transition or interface, and a default effect will be applied. Adjust the transition length as desired. To open the user interface, click on the AB button within the transition and select Settings. The example scenes here are summer and winter in the woods, and the default effect is an inverted V that opens a second clip in the V. A transition can also be made by overlapping two video clips, but on separate tracks, leaving a blank track between them for the effect. Drag the SpiceMaster effect onto the blank track and place it at the beginning of the second clip. Drag the right side to cover the transition area. Scrubbing along the timeline, we see the transition from summer to winter. A second use is to drag the SpiceMaster icon onto the head of the first clip in a movie or the tail of the last clip or image to act as a fade in or fade out. Here we see the fade in. A third use is as a fade in or a fade out by placing the effect below a track, but don't place it at the very beginning. Place it partway along and then drag it to the head or the tail of the track, and then invert the arrow. Another way to make a transition is by placing the effect between two tracks, or by placing it below the second track, which is the preferred method because sometimes both clips don't show up in the user interface. A picture-in-picture effect can be made by placing the effect between two tracks or below the second track, which again is the preferred method. This effect has two identical tracks, but one has a big blur and the second one doesn't. Just trim off the front part of the second one, put the effect in between or below the second one, and you now have a picture-in-picture type effect once again. This places a blurry effect over the face. Inverting the arrow makes the background blurry and the face clear. And SpiceMaster effects can be added to the mask. To illustrate the masks, I'll simply apply the effect to a single clip and drag it to the front end. This new object can be lengthened or shortened by dragging one of the sides, and it can be moved elsewhere. The SpiceMaster object is actually an alpha mask. Note the arrow and the direction of the arrow. The direction of the arrow determines which clip is affected by which part of the mask. The default is a black screen that has an inverted V shape that normally opens to show a second clip like a transition. In this case, I want a fade in and not a transition, so I'll invert the alpha arrow. The direction of this arrow determines which part of the image is inside the mask, like a fade in with the arrow is now shown, or a fade out with the arrow inverted as before. Now I can double click on the SpiceMaster object to open the interface. To clearly see the mask, I'll set all of the default parameters to 0. We see the inverted V shape with the image within the V in the preview window. To the right is a spice window showing the currently selected spice or animated mask along with some control buttons. Below is the keyframes window with the word completion at the top right and a graph which shows the percentage of completion versus time and percentage of the length of the clip. Why do I say animated mask? Watch as I drag the playback marker towards the right. The V shape opens up until it's complete at 100%. At 0, the V is completely closed. Thus the mask is animated over time and can be modified by adjusting the keyframe curve. All of the spices or masks behave like this. Under the keyframe graph, there's a table of preset graph shapes to quickly modify the shape of the curve, and these can be completely modified and shaped as Bezier curves. If I select the inverted V shape for the graph, the V in the window opens fully and then closes fully. Note the completion does not have to start at 0 or go to 100%. A static horizontal line can be used and adjusted upwards or downwards to the desired value. Note the black part of the mask. It would normally be the background, which in Movie Edit Pro is black by default. Or it would be the first clip of a transition or the clip on the lower track, meaning track 1, if the SpiceMaster object is between two tracks, still depending on the direction of the arrow. However, SpiceMaster is set up so that the black part of the mask that you see opening up opens up on the second clip. The alpha mask can be inverted within the SpiceMaster interface or on the timeline using the alpha up-down arrow. To illustrate a transition, I'll close the interface and apply SpiceMaster to a single track transition and open the interface by clicking on the AB icon and selecting Settings. Now we see both clips at 50%, with the first clip in the part that was black and the second clip in the inverted V. As I increase completion, the second clip comes completely into view at 100%. Let's go back to the single image example and look at some of the possible masks. The name of the currently selected spice is Beamer V. Click on Choose Spice File button. This opens the folders containing the spices. We see the default effect, Spice Beamer V, is under Spice FX Wipes. There are two main folders, Organic FX Spices and Spice Effects. Note the many subfolders. As I select the first one, we see the animated masks going through the entire completion cycle. I'll open up several of the subfolders under Organic Effects to see some of the possibilities. Climatics, Erosions, Fluids, Hot Irises, Strokes, and now a few under Spice Effects. Bands 1, Irises 1, Irises 3, Radial, and Spiral. At the very top is a library of my own masks, which are actually a copy of the Magix masks that I copied from the program data files. Most of them are animated too, and this was a really nice surprise. Now I'll pick the first spice under Organic Effects, Explosion 1, accept it, and we see the mask shape, an explosion, in the preview window. Drag the playback marker to the right to see the mask going through its animation cycle. Accept this to see the effect on the timeline. Scrubbing across the effect shows the fade in. Some spices are more suitable to use as fade in or fade out than others. I'll make a copy of the effect and drag it between the two-track transition to see the effect there. I have to invert the alpha arrow. Where the fade effect was black, we now see the first clip, which now does a fade out while the second clip fades in within the explosion mask. Let's go back to our fade in effect and the SpiceMaster interface and look at what else we can do. To the right of the spice image is a column of tool icons. These include Auto Adjust, Oversize to Spin, Center, Clear Rotation, Horizontal Flip, Vertical Flip, and Invert. This one inverts the black and white parts of the mask. Below the image are the X and Y coordinates of the mask and the rotation in degrees. Watch the coordinates as I drag the spice around the screen and then drag the wheel around to change the rotation. These can all be keyframed by clicking on the small icon to the left to open the keyframe table. I'll reset these, except I'll move the center point of the mask over the face on the incoming clip so that the effect starts there. Below this is the mixer, which applies directional film dissolves and enhances SpiceMaster's other creative capabilities to help you easily form custom effect animations and spice variations that visually tie to your clips. Below the preview image are normal transport controls, with the left box showing the time from the start of the effect to the percentage completion shown in the graph. The right box shows the length of the effect, which was defined by the width of the effect object or transition on the timeline. At the right of the screen are several tabs of parameters. The first is edge parameters, containing 3 sections. To better see these effects, I'll put back the original Beamer V-Spice. Softness softens the active or moving edge of the mask, which creates a graduated transparency. The width increases based on the setting. All edges softens active and inactive edges of the mask. This isn't really a good example to illustrate this effect, but it's similar to standard. Texture provides additional organic edge control and can add trailing sparkles, powders, visual noise, edge texture, and animation. Use this alone or with softness. Border controls can create multicolor gradient borders that can seamlessly change width, color, softness, opacity, and position over time. Type 1 creates a border of all edges with a constant thickness. Type 2 creates a border on only the active or moving edge of an effect and retains the smallest edge details in the organic effects. Color can be added to a border by selecting a color using the eyedrop color picker or from the color chart. I'll select cyan from the chart. Note the color added for border type 1 and now for border type 2. The color can be fine-tuned by using the color opacity indicator and sliding the little boxes left and right. The last parameter is position and is on edge by default. The other options are inside edge and outside edge. At the right of each section is a light bulb containing presets. To help you get started, select the most appropriate and modify the parameters from there. At the top right of the interface is a right arrow button which expands the interface to 2 pages. Depth has 2 sections. Shadow Glow adds a shadow or glow along an effects edge to create the illusion of one image growing, flowing, or eroding above another, and to simulate thickness in an image, which is a powerful way to add depth. Note that the color keyframe icon is lit up. Clicking on this shows the keyframe graph. Bevel and ripple are further ways to add depth to SpiceMaster effects, similar to shadow and glow. Note that selecting a preset also affects the overall softness. The effects can be combined. Combining shadow glow and bevel ripple can make the edges even more pronounced so that one image looks like it's inset or jutting out of the other. Finally, the Picture-in-Picture tab allows you to move and resize the matte mask, the inside image, and text. These effects will be covered in a future tutorial. On the screen now is a selection of spices with various effects applied. These are somewhat exaggerated for effect. Watch carefully. Now you've had an introduction to SpiceMaster and you've seen the basic possibilities, especially the hundreds of animated masks with some effects added. I hope that this has helped make clear how to use SpiceMaster within Movie Edit Pro and given you some new ideas for fades, transitions, and picture-in-picture overlays. Thank you for watching. Enjoy.